the talk by our invited guest from the OPTICON-Radionet Pilot project, John Davies. And for those who need larger telescopes for the investigations, this is the place where you can apply. So welcome, John.
Thank you. Let me see if I can get this into slideshow mode. Right, yes, okay, so okay. You should see my title slide.
Yes.
You see that? Yeah, okay, so hello, my name is John Davies. I work at the UK Astronomy Technology Centre, which is the Royal Observatory in Edinburgh. The Opticon-Radionet Pilot is a Horizon 2020 program, the same budget which funds your 2000, your Europlanet RI network. And it's a merger of what was the old Opticon optical network and the old Radionet network, which has been mandated by the European Commission. So this is, as it were, a shotgun marriage of those consortia. It is coordinated by Jean-Gabriel Kubi at the LAM, the Laboratory Astrophysique de Marseille. There's a 15 million euro budget and the program runs for 4 years. We're just about coming up on the end of year one. There are, as it says, 37 partners. They are mostly either scientific agencies like CNRS or INAF or STFC, or they are large observatories. I am responsible for, there are 3 transnational access activities within this Opticon-Radionet Pilot. I am responsible for the optical telescope network, essentially the same job I did in the old Opticon contract. So I'll just briefly outline what these 3 transnational access options are. And to some degree, this is a blatant plug by me to encourage you to make more proposals to the optical telescope network. So let's do the radio telescope network first. These are large radio telescopes which were mostly in the old Radionet contract. Now they do their transnational access differently to my optical network. If you want to use any of these radio telescope networks, you make a regular proposal through the individual radio telescope's normal proposal mechanism. So if you want to use Jodrell Bank, you apply to Jodrell Bank. And if you get time on Jodrell Bank, which is allocated through the Jodrell Bank Time Allocation Committee, that will be counted as European transnational access. I don't know anything more about that than what I've just said. So I've had next to no involvement in the radio TNA. It's the optical transnational access that I know about. So this is the transnational access network in the optical. It's a range of telescopes. The biggest one is the 10 meter, well, 11 meter Southern Africa Large Telescope, which is in the Karoo in Sutherland in South Africa. There are 4 4-meter class telescopes, Canada, France, Hawaii in Hawaii, the Cala Alto telescopes in Almeria in southern Spain, the Telescope Nacional Galileo, the Italian telescope on La Palma, and the Anglo-Australian telescope in, obviously, Australia. Then there's some smaller telescopes in the 1.5 to 2.5 meter range. Aristarchos, the Greek National Telescope, the Cala Alto 2.2, the Observatory de Haute-Provence, the telescope Bernard Liot in mainland France, and in the Canary Islands, the 1.5 meter Carlos Sanchez telescope and the Nordic Optical Telescope. We also have 3 robots things. There's the Liverpool Telescope, which is a 2-meter telescope in La Palma. We have a share of the Los Cumbres network, which includes the Fulks telescopes, which was spoken about yesterday. And the REM is the Rapid Eye Mount telescope. It's a 0.6 meter robot in Lucia. And time on all of those telescopes is available to any astronomer through this Opticon Transnational Access Program. So the way the optical process works is this. We ask everyone who wants to use any of those telescopes in our network to make a proposal to a single time allocation committee. We call it the CTAC, the Common TAC. That Common TAC has 7 people on it. There's 7 people from 7 different nationalities. And they have a range of expertise from, in principle, the solar system, right through to external galaxies. Anybody can apply to this program. The only restriction is we can't give more than 20% of the time to non-Europeans. However, that's not been a problem so far. We've had very few applications from outside the EU who have never got even close to that 20% limit. My time allocation committee take all of these proposals, they read all of the proposals, they each read all of the proposals, and we rank them in scientific merit order. And once we have that scientific ranked merit order at the end of the meeting, I work my way down that list, buying time on these various telescopes until I run out of money for that semester. That's basically how this thing works. The EU gives me money, and I use that money to buy time across my telescope network to give time to people who've come high and up my TAC ranking. The individual telescopes also get a payment from the EU for doing this. So they're not in it for, it's not a purely generosity thing. They get paid for this. They get paid for this time. And the telescopes which get the most money from the EU are the telescopes which are demanded most by the users. We don't have any predefined quotas. There's no quotas for nationality of telescope, and there's no quotas for nationality of users. It's a purely demand-driven, science quality-driven process. Now, I am a solar system astronomer, or at least I was, before I became a manager. I used to do comets and asteroids, Hale-Bopp, Kuiper Belt, that sort of thing. But we get very few solar system proposals for this Opticon common time allocation process. So we get so few, in fact, that we no longer have a dedicated solar system astronomer on our TAC. What we do is we have an extra solar planet person, because we get lots of proposals for extra solar planet projects. We get quite a lot of projects for the time domain. I give a list here, I'm not going to read it out. But we could do time domain projects in solar system, and well, we do it in extra solar planets. We do a lot of timing transit timing variations that Dieter just talked about. We do a lot of transits and that sort of thing, and spectroscopy and that sort of thing. But we could easily do solar system projects, cometary outbursts, transits, monitoring Jupiter or something like that, if we only have suitably highly ranked proposals. In truth, we get 2 or 3 solar system proposals out of 50 each semester. So I encourage you, if you think any of these telescopes are of use to you, to apply. I should say that if you get the time on the telescope, not only do I give you the telescope time for free, I actually pay you to travel to the telescope if you need to. So if you get time on a telescope in the Canary Islands, let's say, you can apply to me for a grant to travel to the Canary Islands to make your observations. So this is not just free telescope time, it's free travel as well. It's absolutely free. Now I say that deliberately several times because in the past I've given talks like this and people just don't believe that I'm really giving the stuff away. I am giving stuff away. It's free. Now, as it happens, the current call, which is for the semester 2020B, is open right now. It opens on the early February and it closes at the end of this month. So in about 3 weeks' time. Several of the smaller telescopes in the network, the Carlos Sanchez telescope in particular, the REM and the Liverpool telescope, are not in great demand, and yet they are very cheap. So if we could get proposals that were scientifically valid, it would be very easy to fund them because they're not expensive. They won't make a big hole in my budget. If you wish to make a proposal to this network, there's a web-based tool called North Star. Yeah, it's based on a RadioNet tool, actually. You can download it. You can register with, it's a web-based system. You register on it on the web. There's a link on the call pages. And then you submit a proposal through the tool. You write your own science case in LaTeX and attach it. And then there are radio buttons to select the telescopes and the instruments. Our oversubscription factor it's a little bit hard to quantify because it depends exactly how you measure it. If you measure it in terms of proposals or in terms of nights requested or in terms of money, you get slightly different answers. But typically, we get somewhere around about 50 proposals per semester, and we typically approve about a third of. So our oversubscription rate it's about right. It's about typical for a 4-meter telescope. I mean, it's 3 to 4 is about the normal oversubscription rate for a 3 to 4 meter telescope. And that's the web page for the call information. Basically, if you type ORP H2020 into Google, that's what it'll take you to the OPTICON-Radionet Pilot page, and there's a link to the transnational access page on the front page. So basically, I think that's all I want to say about the transnational access, the optical transnational access program. The third thing which we do is a time domain network. Now this is managed by Lukasz, who I saw had logged in earlier. So he's here if anybody wants to follow up on it. The primary function of this time domain network is rather like your Europlanet network. It's a network of small telescopes who offer their time voluntarily to scientists who want to take observations or who want observations taken for them. So it's mostly at the moment being used for Gaia follow-up. So scientists who are interested in Gaia follow-up post a list of observations they would like. And then people with access to telescopes with suitable instruments, mostly CCD camera, can take the data and then upload it to the time domain networks servers where it's processed and all the rest of it. So it's very like some of the things that ORP do and the Gaia solar system follow-up network. I spoke to Lukasz about this. It's not yet suited to moving targets because you have to upload a target coordinate. And of course, with a solar system object, that's moving. And of course, that may not be true for extrasolar planets. So that's another possible coherence between what you're doing and what the Optical-Radionet Pilot is doing. And I spoke to your telescope network people a few days ago to see if we could bring these things into life. At the risk of repeating myself, the difference here between what Opticon-Radionet Pilot offers and what the Europlanet network offers is we offer you the telescope time as well as the money to travel. So you don't have to get the telescope time first. You just apply to through North Star to the Opticon Radionet Pilot. And if you pass my TAC, you get the telescope time and you get the travel grant if you need it. Other things we're doing, apart from this provision of telescope time, is we are developing a new proposal. So North Star is 10 years old. It's legacy software and it has some weaknesses. We're hoping to develop a new proposal tool. We're hoping to develop a single sign-on system so that once you're registered with one telescope, your credentials are recognized by all of them. We will continue to develop the time domain activities with Lukasz and the ability to use a bigger telescope network for time domain things like overrides and monitoring triggered alerts and so on. By triggered alerts, we mean things like supernovae, where you can't be sure which star is going to go supernova, but you're pretty sure somebody's going to do it. So you can ask for a follow-up proposal and just say, and when the supernova goes bang, we will tell you where to look. You can do the same thing with the solar system project. You know, you don't know which comet's going to outburst, but there's a good bet that one of them will. So you put in a proposal to monitor cometary outbursts. Using a range of telescopes, you can apply to several telescopes on the same form. And then when a comet outbursts or whatever happens, an asteroid flies close by the Earth or something, then you trigger this pre-approved program. We're also working on, I don't think this is going to be much help to you, but it might be. We're also working on protocols to make combined proposals for both radio and optical telescopes. So you don't have to have this double jeopardy thing where you have to apply to 2 different panels to get time. Once we have this protocol in place, we make a single application across both a range of optical telescopes, which you can do now, plus radio telescopes, as all as part of the same process. And we have an outreach program. I was very impressed by Edita's talk yesterday about your mentoring thing. We have some teaching schools, training schools, which are rather more focused on a small number of people going to a telescope and actually making observations. But if you're interested in those, you can find information about those on the ORP website as well. And that, as we say, is the end. So I see I've actually got us back on schedule. 4 o'clock, I think, is the official coffee break time. But I'll be, if I'm right, and it's the break time now, I will stop sharing and I will stick around to answer questions.
Thank you, John, very much.